Well, we're at the end of the year. And the end of the year always brings the opportunity to reflect, make resolutions, all that crap we do at the end of the year. So let's talk about it. First, welcome back to the hot seat with Holly Meginniss. I'm Holly Meginniss. And today we're going to talk about the dreaded R word and ways that you can make changes in your life at the beginning of the new year and get somewhere with it. So let's start with the first thing. New Year's resolutions are bullshit. They often become very burdensome and are often not seen through. How many of us know that, right? But a new year brings new opportunities. So let's think about it that way for a minute. What are the new opportunities that could be open for you? Are you open to new opportunities in the new year? It can be hard to think about that. But those opportunities don't necessarily have to be like a job change, lose 100 pounds. It's really hard to do. It can be something very simple. Making more time for yourself. Working on your inner peace. Those kind of things. You can learn something new. I have somebody very close to me who last year decided that his New Year's opportunity was going to be to learn how to make models, and now there are models all over my house. He's very good at it. And he's found out he's very talented at it. Shocker. But he did that. That was what he decided to do, and he did very well with it. You can learn new things like knitting or crocheting. Trust me, there's some cool ass shit you can crochet. Or knit. I'm working on a hat right now, as a matter of fact. What about self-care? That thing we always say we're gonna do, but we don't. Because we live in a society that doesn't really value it. Of course, you can also meet new people. And God, I do this show. I see patients. I can get along with people just about anywhere, but most of the time, I like to hide in my house and just recharge my battery. Partly because of what I do for a living, but I also do enjoy going out, checking out new things, and meeting new people where the opportunity allows. What about goals? In therapy, we often talk about them as, what is your goal for therapy? Patient says what the goal for therapy is. But the goal isn't a straight upward, you're going to run up the hill and get to it. Because as soon as you start running up that hill, you're going to slide back down. The way you meet your big goal is creating the steps to get to that big goal. Small goals to bigger goals to the ultimate goal. It is the way it works if you want to be effective in making a realistic, measurable opportunity to be successful goal. What could those look like? Maybe you decide you want to go back to school, but you don't know where to start. So the first goal is figure out where you want to go. What do you want to study? Well, how do they do it? What do you want? Do you want it all online? You go through you do your financial aid, then you apply. I highly recommend starting your college career at a community college. I did. That will be the hardest part of all of it, I promise you. They are rigorous, but they also help you be successful. And work your way up to what your ultimate goal is. That's what I did. Took a little while, but I got there. Setting a new goal is good, but expecting to get to it immediately is unrealistic. Maybe your goal is to change the way things are in your life right now. Maybe you're in a relationship that isn't good. Maybe you're struggling with depression, anxiety. You're worried it might be something more, and it could be. Maybe the goal is trying to get into therapy so you can start to work on things and work with a therapist to start setting goals for yourself. When you set a goal, it's always good to make a plan so you can track your progress, you know? And I do that with my patients, you know? My patients, I've seen, like, after 3 months, I'll be like, okay, let's look at where you were when you started, and here's where you are now. What do you think? That's my job, is to keep track of those goals. You can do that for yourself. Let's say you do make a goal to get healthier. Notice I didn't say lose weight. I said get healthier. When we get stuck on losing weight, we get stuck on something that can be very difficult and very disheartening. But if you want to be able to, say, climb the steps without getting breathless, that was me, or feel more physically active, see your health change. The added benefit is you'll probably lose weight becoming more active, changing your diet, all of those things. But as you make those goals, make them realistic. One of mine coming up is I'm going to do Bloomsday this year. Could have done it last year, but it was unrealistic. I knew I wasn't ready. But I will be this year because I exercise almost every day. I haven't been very good this week, but I'll get back to it. Share your goal with, you want to build skill and stamina in your goal. Let's say your goal is to learn something new, like crocheting or knitting or model building or working on cars or something like that. Or you want to learn how to do something you've always wanted to do, drive a car, ride a motorcycle, those things. You have to build skill and stamina to do these things. Be able to do Bloomsday and not kill yourself. You have to build stamina and you have to build skill in order to continue to be successful at it. You do it the first time, you tried. Every once in a while, I'll go back and look at the pictures of the very first things I made when I learned how to knit, and they look like shit. But I did them. And I got better at it. And now I can make a lot of cool stuff. I can make whatever I want if I want to be challenged enough. And sometimes they're just too much, and I'm like, that is so far out of my wheelhouse, I can't do that. But that doesn't mean I can't do what I want, or I'm good at it. Share it with somebody you're comfortable sharing it with, If you're comfortable sharing your desire to get healthier with somebody you don't feel like you're going to compare yourself to, do it. Share it with your doctor. If you've got a doctor that you're comfortable with who will encourage you to do it that way rather than you need to lose weight, you're bad because you're fat, do it. They can be some of your biggest cheerleaders. Challenging yourself, but only if you want to. Maybe get yourself trained in something new. If you work in a business like I do, I like challenge in my job. I want to be better at certain skills. There are certain things about mental health that fascinate me, and I want to be able to treat those things effectively. And not only treat them, but the information that I've learned in being able to do all that, I can share with other clinicians, because I do clinician supervision too. Those are all things that I get a big kick out of. One of my, people, when we were kids, we would look at the Christmas catalog and pick out our toys. I get these catalogs in the mail from a company that does continuing ed, and it's like Christmas for me. I want to do that one. I want to do that one. I want to do that one. And then I just plan my days off and find out if I'll get reimbursed for it. But even if I don't, at least I've had that training. I'll get a certification out of it. It'll make me a better therapist. And I love to learn. So it always works out for me in the end that way. Make it fun. Perfection is not the goal. Enjoy yourself in doing those things. Being creative, being who you are, maybe coming to the Spokane Downtown Library and filming a podcast for the first time or recording a podcast. You have access to all of that with just a library card. You didn't think you could do that. You see them on YouTube. Guess what? That's what we're doing right now. We're at the library. It's a great thing. Learning and enjoyment are important. If you stop learning, you stop growing. You know, I always say my two most hated words in the English language are mistake and failure. Because if we don't make mistakes, we learn nothing. If we are perfect, we learn nothing. Nothing is fun. You're not living, you're existing. You know, it's like, it's plastic, it's shallow, it's not good. Enjoy the challenge. And then be it look at the mistake and go, well, that didn't work. Let's try something different. It's important to give yourself that space to do that. And then we talk about self-care. So what is self-care? We throw those words around all the darn time, you know. I'm trying to be not so sweary today. We'll see what happens. So the official definition that I found was, practice of taking care of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health to promote overall well-being and to prevent burnout. That's one of the most important things. And I don't care what your job is. You might be a chef, you might be a server, you might be a doctor, you might be a therapist, you might be anything. If you don't take care of yourself, you are doing no one any good. The analogy I like to use with my patients, because I've got an aviation kid in my family, so it's fun to pull this one out. But I'm guessing most of you who have watched this have at some point in your life flown on a commercial aircraft. You get in there, you're jostling around, you put your stuff up in the overhead bins, but you don't close them because the stewardess or the flight attendants will get mad at you. You get seated, you buckle in, everybody gets seated, the flight attendants go down the aisle, they're knocking all the doors down, and then they position themselves in the aisle. Think about what happens next. You hear the jet bridge pulling away from the airplane. You feel the plane being pushed back, so to speak. What it is a little tug at the bottom that's got it by the front and is pushing it backwards and helping it turn so that it can start to taxi. And you're bumping along because the taxiway is always bumpy. But something's going on in that plane while that's happening. Remember, those flight attendants are there and they're telling you about the safety. There's a life jacket under the seat. The seat is a flotation device. In the event of decompression or smoke, oxygen masks fall from the ceiling. They say something very important about those oxygen masks. Put yours on first before you put anybody else's on. Because you can't help them if you can't breathe. That's self-care. You got to put your own oxygen mask on before you can help anybody else. We're not encouraged. We get a lot of mixed signals in our culture. You know, we often try to find jobs, and jobs are getting better about the work-life balance. But then you decide you just want to take a weekend because you can feel yourself getting a little cinched around the edges. And then you have to jump through 3 hoops, check your schedule, make sure there's nobody else that's going to be gone, and you have to get approval and all that stuff, and it may or may not happen. But they want you to have good self-care and family first. The important part of that is You see people who work years and years and years, and they never take a day off. They rarely take holidays off. If they have to, they will. And they kill themselves in their job. And we kind of look at other people and be like, oh, they're taking a day off. We're jealous. If you're jealous that your coworker is using their PTO, it's time for you to start using yours. There's nothing wrong with that. You earn that shit. You show up every day for work, you earn your PTO. Pay period's over, you got PTO in the bank. Use it. Make plans. Plan a vacation. Plan a staycation. That's what I did last year. I did a couple of fun things. I took the week of my birthday off. And most of it I spent at home. But I went out and did a few fun things just for me. There is no reward for overwork. Because what then happens is you don't do your job effectively. You are doing your job at less than an optimum level. And most of us care about our jobs. Most of us who've built careers care about what we're doing. All of our jobs are important. And we need to respect everybody's job. But overworking keeps you start to resent it. You start treating your customers or your patients or your clients badly. You develop a bad reputation. Your employer develops a bad reputation. Most of us don't want that to happen. Burnout is a career destroyer. I have seen people who have gone into the profession that I am, and I'm a clinical social worker and a substance use disorder professional, who have nearly lost their career or have completely walked away from their career because they couldn't do it anymore. They just couldn't do it. I had an experience of that. Right now, I carry 2 licenses. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also a licensed substance use disorder professional. But that was hard. And I didn't like the atmosphere of it. And I lost 2 patients, and it was brutal. So I had to step away. And for 2 years, I've done exclusively mental health. I may go back to substance use. I haven't given up that license. I still do my continuing ed, but right now I can't do that. But I can use that training to help people in mental health who have struggled with addiction. So I didn't give it up entirely. Learn what helps you relax. I have a very large cat at home. He's a rag doll. His name is Lucio, and he has the fluffiest coat, the softest coat. He is like touch therapy for me. I have 2 of the 4 cats that live with me that like to get on my lap while I'm working. And Lucio can sense when I'm off. And he'll get up there and he'll bang that big old head of his right into my chest and just look at me with the most adoring eyes. And they're blue. So how can you turn on a blue-eyed, handsome man? But that helps bring me self-care, even in a tough day. Reading. I love to read. I love, love, love to read. Find good, trashy stuff. I love reading trashy psychological stuff. I know it's weird. I do a lot of biographies. Some of them I read because of my job. Aromatherapy. I cannot stress enough how much that can be helpful. And you don't have to go. I mean, my name is Holly, and I have an addiction to Bath and Body Works. But you don't have to do that. You can go to a little small place and get like a little vial of lavender oil and put a drop or 2 in a little spray bottle and just spray your pillow. Go to a place that makes homemade bath bombs and lotions and potions and get those. Put little warmers in your room that have those, candles, all of it. The things that bring you joy. You know, sometimes people like to get food candles. It just makes me want to eat. So some people like to have the Christmas cookie candle or warm vanilla sugar candle or something like that. That brings good memories and good feelings for you and gives you a bad case of the warm fuzzies. Do it. All of those things can help you feel better about yourself. And sometimes it's just buying yourself some new sheets. You know? Everything, I like things soft and comfy. Or buy yourself a new t-shirt. You keep seeing Stitch pop up occasionally. That's kind of what I do. Hobbies. Let's talk about hobbies. Dang. There's so many of them that you can do. Yeah, video games is a hobby. As we get older, I think it gets kind of boring. But I speak for myself, not for you. You want to learn how to do something. You want to learn how to knit. Okay. You want to learn how to crochet? Okay. People like to trash YouTube, but you can learn anything on YouTube. I was taught how to knit about 15 years ago, 16 years ago, in person. How to do the cast-ons, how to do the basic stitches, and I practiced and learned from there. And then I decided I wanted to learn how to crochet because I was making a project that was in pieces, and instead of sewing it together, which is really boring, I wanted to crochet it together. And I learned how to crochet like gangbusters, all of it from YouTube. I learned how to make things that are very interesting. I have a blanket at home I made that we call it a fuck blanket. And not because that's what you do on it. It's because it has the variations of the word fuck on it that I made. It says, it's got the fingers on it. It's so cool. It's got fan-fucking-tastic in the middle. It's got fuck you on it. It's got motherfucker on it. It's got it was the best self-care. I've made 2 of them. I have one at home, and one of them is in Japan with a former flight commander that I worked with. It was my going away present for him. I love to make things. And if you're a little ADHD like me, it allows you to focus on a lot of things too. It fills in that need to do something. You can check out lessons for something that interests you. You see something in the community. They do things here at the library all the time. Right now, you can have music lessons here. You can do a lot of different things. There's a lot of artistic things that go on. There's a place in town called Lunarium that does a craft night on Thursdays. There's tons of things that you can do. You want to learn something new? Get out there and go learn it. It doesn't have to cost you anything. You want to learn how to make bread? Make bread. There's always opportunities out there to try something new. Taking care of your physical health. That is part of self-care. People are afraid of that. A lot of people will put that to the back burner. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. Really? What about that pain in your chest that you get every once in a while? You see, if you're my age, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm 56 years old. I got a kid, by the time this airs, it will be 30. And I got another kid that's 26. I had a parent that didn't take care of themselves. I had 2 parents that didn't really do a good job taking care of themselves. But I do. Why? To be an example to them and to have my fondest wish of living so long that they finally look at me and say, will you die already? We're good. I want to be here for them. I have my children early enough in my life that I can have a great life after that, but my health has to be a top-notch priority. And yeah, things happen. Hey, COVID nearly killed me. But I lived. and I learned that I need to take better care of myself. Get some exercise. Put your earbuds in. Go find the nearest park with a walking trail in it or around your neighborhood, and imagine yourself being the diva that you are on stage. I do that every day because I'm a music person too. I have to have music every day. I mean, there are times when my kids used to borrow my car and they would come and I'd drive them back home with me and I'd be like, no, you can't borrow the car today. I haven't had music in 3 days in the car. You can't have the car. That's how much I have to have music. You don't have to get on a fitness kick. You don't have to be a gym rat. You can go out and do something to get your body moving. And here's the secret that nobody tells you. When you're moving, you are releasing those neurotransmitters that help with depression, anxiety. This is not bullshit. This is absolutely 100% proven and true. You release a lot of good hormones in your body. I do mine on my lunch break every day. I mean, it's always funny when, especially in the summer, but it still happens now, because when I get going, my face will flush. Whenever I'm doing a lot, my face will flush. So, and I'm usually sweating, so I have to get the sweating under control before I start my first afternoon session, but my face is still red. They all know why my face is red, because I went out and worked out. But you know what that does for me? It puts a huge break between the morning and the afternoon, and it gives me the stamina to see my afternoon patients. And it helps me sleep in the evening. It does so much for you. Just do something, anything. If you've got Just Dance on your video game, do that. You know? Video games. I mean, Nintendo has a whole workout series that you can do. What if you're struggling with the big stuff? When should you seek counseling? Maybe that's one of the things you should do. Counseling can help with issues that you might struggle with, such as depression, anxiety, stress, self-esteem, self-worth. Anything that keeps you from having your inner fucking peace. Because that's what we do. That's what makes my job awesome. So, when you think about the new year, think of it as an opportunity. A friend of mine often picks a word that they want to emulate for the year. And I don't usually do that, but I am going to do it this year. And at first I was just going to say it was peace. But because of me and what my personality looks like, it's inner fucking peace. Find yours. Fight for it. Love yourself and put your goddamn oxygen mask on first. You do nobody any good when you don't take care of yourself. Don't do that. Especially if you've got kids, and I don't care how old they are. They see you do that, you will do that. They will do that. And you'll look at them when they're adults and go, why are you doing that? Where'd they learn it from? There's a difference between existing and living. And it's really easy in today's climate of policy and political and fear and all the things that have been brought about over the last year to just exist. To not hurt, to not try, to not love, to just be a bump on a log. But what's the point in that? When you can live, you can cry, you can laugh, you can have joy, you can have sorrow, you can have experiences. In one of our earlier episodes, we talked about grief. Yes, that is the price we pay for love. But we can't give that up. Living is what we do. Living is what gives us our life. Don't exist, live. And if you feel like you can only exist, see a counselor. Counselors are trained not to judge. And we do care. So that's your no bullshit corner for this show. And I want to take a moment first to thank Spokane Public Library Central branch downtown for this area, to use this area. It was really easy to get in here, set up. It's professional. It's amazing. Give them the opportunity to be a part. I mean, you live here, you've paid taxes to be a part of this. You have this opportunity too. And I also want to remind you that we want to do an episode with questions. I almost said patient questions. Y'all aren't my patients. I apologize. We want questions, and they can be anything about mental health. How do you handle a certain situation? Struggles that you may have. How do you know if you need counseling? How do you know you don't feel right with your counselor? How do you break up with your counselor? How do you manage things? It might be something simple, but managing any of those questions are fair game. They can be relationship questions. You know, by the time you see this, we'll be starting to think about Valentine's Day. You know, we can talk about any of those things. You will be anonymous unless you request me to use your name. So the assumption is anonymous rather than me using your name. And I will use your pronouns as they, them, because that protects your privacy. But I really want to hear from you. I really want to know if this is helpful to you, because I really do love doing it. And until next time, take care, find your inner fucking peace, and I'll see you next time.